Welcome back, dear esports fans. This time we're backstage with Gabriel and Romain, the two gentlemen of the Swiss Esports Federation. Not any two gentlemen, but one of you is the president and the other is
The vice president.
vice
The
president.
vice
You
president,
see, the
indeed.
two most important people of the Swiss Esports Federation. With me, what an honor. Thank you guys for taking your time.
Well,
Thank you.
hi, thank
Welcome.
you for having us.
Nice. So, we're going to have a little talk about the Swiss Esports Federation, quite an important organism inside the Swiss ecosystem, I would say. But I think a lot of people don't really, or can't really grasp something concrete behind the expression Swiss Esports Federation. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, please introduce yourself quite shortly, say what is your position, what is a president doing inside the Swiss Esports Federation, for example, and then explaining, maybe making an analogy to classic sport, to traditional sport, football federation, basketball federation, whatever is comfortable for you guys. So I'll let you start.
Well, for just a little bit of backstory, the Swiss Esports Federation was created in 2009, officially on papers, but it became an organ of direction and with members in 2016.
Oh.
That's actually quite a new structure in the way it functions now. The needs for it first, so why is there a president? Because there should be a needs for it first. So the needs the SESF fulfill is that in sports, you need to take care of the importance of the players so that competition owners and media don't push too much the players, basically. The idea is that in esports, we have the publishers, we have all the strength in the world who own even the media and Twitch to go over this. And there's nothing that takes care of grassroots, so the one where no money is in it, and what will happen later when they get professional. There's no counterweight to the publishers.
Is grassroots comparable to amateur?
Exactly.
And professional? Okay.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
as in sports, amateur sports would be to all different levels, so either really amateur level, semi-pro level, or pro level. And the idea is when people will go from amateur to semi-pro to pro, there's a structure that basically support their interest, which is
Protecting them.
not necessarily the interest of the publishers. Like, for example, rules like not playing 12 hours a day is a rule that goes against...
Favorable for the
That's
players,
favorable
but
for the
against...
players.
Yep,
So
against...
Okay, so rule, structure, making sure there will be secondary league for all levels within Switzerland. So basically taking care of all the people that want to go pro and are not yet at that level.
So basically, you're super nice guys, right?
Yes, that's probably what
Indeed,
we should do.
I mean, we hope we are.
As you're explaining right now, it makes a super good impression on me. Like, I would feel kind of, taken seriously as a player, feel protected maybe, not as abusable or not as, I'm just an object of entertainment and I have to play 12 hours straight because this dude is telling me, or the tournament is telling me, or the publisher is telling me. It's, sounds pretty nice, sounds human.
Indeed, so we do that for players.
Yeah.
But the big difference between the Swiss Esports Federation and a traditional sport federation is also that when in a traditional sport federation, you would have the federations and then clubs and player, and that's it. Mm-hmm. We have, by the nature of the esport ecosystem, the necessity to include all the other stakeholders. So we have tournament organizers, we have, as we said, publishers, companies, and that kind of stuff. And what we try to be is a neutral discussion ground for everyone to meet and actually get something which goes towards the general goals of the federations and in the interest of the esports in Switzerland, meaning its professionalization, its recognition from different institutions and that kind of stuff. So we try to be active on all of these points.
Sounds pretty tiring. I think you have a lot of work ahead of you, a lot of work past you. You work a lot on this thing, and I think, sometimes people don't really realize what is behind the scenes of such a project or how you are trying to help them. I'm sure you get a lot of critique. That's usual in Switzerland. That's normal. But it's also a good thing you always know where to improve. We have areas, a lot of people complaining about this stuff. I think we'll have to change up some things. But do you get as much as positive feedback for the things you do as backlash if something doesn't work out quite well?
Well, I'd say yes and no. Let's say No, because the funny thing about, compared to other amateur sports, esports has a desire for professional standard that is weirdly not in the right dimension for where the state of the industry is.
Yeah.
For example, when you go through amateur volleyball, it's okay when things are not perfect, when the venues are not perfect, the things are not perfect, but in esports, even the amateur level is expected to be at a standards rarely pro achieve, actually.
Yeah.
So that's where most backlash came from, is that you're not at the pro level we expect you to be, but we were never meant to be at the pro level.
Yeah, you're not at the pro level either, right?
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, and almost no one is in Switzerland.
Exactly,
People
yeah.
have to realize
Yeah.
that almost no one is, and the level of the players are way, for the moment,
an international
way
scale.
below most international level,
Yeah,
actually.
I agree.
But they will need to train and continue. A lot of nice positive feedbacks we actually have comes from external institutions like the IESF, the International Esports Federation, other national esports federation in Europe. Actually, it's the moment we go meet them that we realize that there's a ton of things we do they haven't even started
Thought about, or yeah.
or really implemented or really discussed. Like, we were there way before France Esports started, or even Germany, for example, is going really fast. But a few years back, we were still ahead. That's surprising, but we were still ahead in terms of national federation. Of course, the activity of ESL or other great teams, professional teams, were far ahead, but they were not structured within an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I think that, concerning your question about positive and negative feedback, I think we get much more positive feedback overall.
Nice.
But as usual, like in every field, the negative feedback is the one that bothers you, is the one that you retain all the time. And actually, internally, from Switzerland, we have a lot of members, as we said, of different kind of activities. And right now, we are searching more and more ways to involve them in what we do, get more feedback from them. Because
I can tell you, we're feeling that.
When you said before, the whole critique aspect of what we do is essential. Because if we want to be a middle ground for everyone, we need to understand what are the needs and the points of all the people who are
involved
within the federation. And of course, there is a lot of critique which bounces from one entity to another, or one, player to another player also. And you can't improve anything on a national level if you don't listen to critique.
It's always like that. You can't make everyone happy, right?
Don't worry, when everyone will be a little pissed, we have a good consensus.
Exactly.
If someone takes too much of it, there's not a consensus.
Exactly.
But the main part is that probably last year's and the year before, when we're in the process of really making into a federation with a lot of different members, what we realized is, of course, there was a ton of critique, but immense people cared. I mean, there would be no critics.
It would be even worse. Yep.
So actually, the states of the more there was a little drama here and there between the teams. The team is in the SESF, the SESF and the organizers and the SESF with the Swiss Esports Federation. But immense people care. People wanted something to happen. So for me, it would be worrisome if there weren't that much critique. It means no one cares.
And like that, it means people care. They want it to be good. They want it to meet their standards, whatever.
So
that's a good thing.
Which is something that was encouraging for us. It was like, there's people that want us to do things. We need to meet the standards. We need to do them. But it means people want to see things happening.
Just to talk a little bit about things you're doing, because you made a nice pathway here. I have to be honest. I think I've heard more from the SESF in the last 9 months to 1 year than I have the 3 years before. Because, as I said, I was a little bit on the outside. I haven't too much seen into the structure of the SESF, but as a player or as an esports athlete, I haven't had the feeling, okay, they're doing a lot, they're making this, they're helping me out here, they're helping me out here. And now we hear from these projects, referee commission, working with the ISF, stuff like Swiss Nationals, Swiss Made Games League. Everything is coming forward, and I'm really happy to see that. And you want to say absolutely something, right?
So, the thing is, yes, because I've been involved a lot with this aspect of, starting to communicate more about our projects. The big difference, I'd say, compared to the past, is that before last year, we had no, first of all, the central organ, which rules the SESF, which is the SESF board, which we are part of, which is elected by all our members, was basically doing everything.
And executive and the strategic
exactly. They did
job
leadership.
In your free time, basically.
Exactly. They did leadership, they did management, they did everything. And from last year, we started according more importance to our staff project, meaning that we have commissions who have different projects. For example, you mentioned the referee system that we have now, the referee commission. And what they did, the referee system, is something which impacts directly on our players, on our tournament organizers. So that's why we really start talking about it. And also the other explanation that we can find to this is that 6 months ago, we decided to create a full team of professional people to work on our executive tasks, which one of them is, of course, communications. And therefore, our communication inputs became much
improved, a lot,
much better and bigger. And
I heard a lot more from you. That's what I was saying. Like, I'm sure you did. The SSF was doing stuff before, but maybe it was the way it was communicated. Maybe it was some other thing. But I got the impression the last 9 months, you guys really pedaled to the metal, and it went forward really fast. We had smaller, bigger projects growing up, and was a good thing to see.
No, indeed, we had to, because actually the first year and a half after 2016, so the time we've decided change the statutes, elect a new board, because actually the previous board was not elected by entities. It wasn't a federation. It had a name of the federation, but it could not even function as a federation. You'd had no member such as clubs. So no clubs elected boards. So we had in 2016, we restarted. So it meant we had to decide what kind of membership we wanted, what are the projects the member wants, what kind of things we have to do for external partner like the International Esports Federation, what we should do. And it was in the meantime that, for example, Pre-Fire started its league, which became SESL. There was such a things between people, what they wanted to do and now what they have achieved, and what at the time was all embryo and fetuses of projects. Like, people wanted to do a lot of stuff, but there wasn't a lot of things on the scene at the time also. There was no such thing as this. There was no esports.ch, so there was no media for it. The number of teams was halved. The level of player was half. So actually, there wasn't much. There wasn't much 2 years ago.
And the big challenge also, I think, is that we got better at actually uniting people, and we hope to get even better in the future because, as you know, I mean, in Switzerland with language barriers, and mentalities which are so different even from canton to canton, it can be very conflictual. So you need to find ways to put all these people around the same table.
That's not an easy thing to do, right? But you somehow managed it. And I have to say, I'm super impressed with your two English. It's very nice,
well,
very
thank
professional. You took some courses or before coming here, or just naturally you're good English
No,
speakers?
we rehearsed all the questions. And
well, I did English studies.
No, we didn't.
Okay, cool.
It helps.
Yeah, but I was just, not to come back to the Röstigraben again, but I was not worried, but I thought, okay, maybe I have to write down the questions simple, because sometimes
you never know.
People from German-speaking part have troubles with English, but you two, you outplay me in every word possible. No worries. So, let's talk about the daily business of the Swiss Esports Federation, because I think that's something that is pretty hard for people to grasp. But imagine coming into your office at the morning, at the evening. I don't know. You tell me how you do it, but. What can someone, what are you doing? Are you just doing mails and ads or projects, or try to guide me through your daily business?
So on a personal level, at least in the board, what we do, what both of us do, is that we are part of the body which takes care of defining the vision of the SESF its goals according to the needs of everyone who
Of course.
is in the SESF. And then what we do is that we provide foresight, insight, and oversight of our activities and what our executive staff, so the people who actually do the practical things,
on the spot or whatever,
do every day.
Yep.
So for us, it's a lot of discussion, like you would expect from, for example, a political council or something like this.
You have to agree, like he said.
Exactly. And then it's checking that goals are reached and assess situation throughout the year.
So we can say it's presenting a motion, maybe a project, something, then trying to convince everyone to agree to that project, and then you try to.
For example,
the executive team is.
For example, But our project, like I wouldn't use the word project.
Okay.
Because projects are usually factual. What we do is we define broad goals and then more specific goals.
Yeah.
For example, let's say we need to, I don't know, we say we need to organize, we need to be more active towards publishers.
Okay.
That would be the broad goal.
Broad goal, yeah.
And now we say we have to approach that publisher for that purpose.
Yeah.
And then the executive team takes care of that.
He's doing the detailed work, so to speak.
And if we have to intervene on, if we have to
we're
represent the SESF, so that's specifically
what you're
our
doing
job,
now.
specifically his job as a president.
Slightly more.
Is going to events, being the public face of the SESF. And besides that, we also choose to.
Yeah. So it actually mostly depends on what you actually want to do when you enter. Of course, if you enter the board, so that's what we do. If you want to be part of a specific commission that is already created, then the commission meets. Of course, as you have to imagine, this is the SESF. Everyone lives and work already in its own canton.
Yep.
So there's a physical meeting from time to time or on the event. But of course, everything is split everywhere, which is nice, for example, for the referee commission, meaning that if you have to go somewhere, not everyone has to come from the other side of Switzerland.
Exactly.
Of Switzerland. So this is both a strength, because we even go with this new board that we elected without wanted it as half Romain, half Swiss German. So which just happened to
we managed to do it actually.
To be perfect.
It was totally random. Right,
so there are people. So there's people in Zurich. There's people in Bern. There's people in Lausanne. There's people in Geneva. There's people mostly everywhere in Switzerland that you can talk to. I will probably, one of my points is to try to engage a little more at the cantonal level, because there's no real point of contact in the canton for the SESF as of yet. We would hope that, Geneva did it with Geneva Esports, like it's a local federation.
There's some where there's progress, but it's not established everywhere.
Exactly, the idea would be to slightly help. It doesn't have to be a federation, doesn't have to be an entity.
For example, also I think helped with Noetic, with their centers somehow,
Exactly, the point is to try to see where to create these points where locally you can get more questions, supports, and things the SESF should provide. Now we have specialists for legal affairs, for example. So what status is, what kind of contract, what contract for the players, how do I sign it, how do I make sure that
it's
it
a
would
good
be
contract,
so cool that most of the members of the SESF will then enforce this contract, so no one poaches players like this. So there's a contract, how you can do it. There will be a mercato, more specifically designed. We'll see how to design it properly for the season. How do we split twice a year, three times a year, one time a year? So we'll see that, but we can discuss, and we have experts now in the legal stuff. They can write it.
And usually always in the interest of the players.
Always in the interest of the players.
That sounds pretty dope, because I think, I don't know how you're aware of international esports, but just like a month ago, there was a huge drama between FaZe and Tfue because of contract stuff, and it was about a lot of money, and it would be nice if we wouldn't have to do that here in Switzerland, but I'm positive the way you're talking.
Indeed, I think one of the big advantages that we have in Switzerland, which is an advantage that we get from a disadvantage, meaning that we are a small country.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find ways which are innovative and original to, show up on the international scene with actually relevant stuff. And for example, our refereeing system, we are the only country in the world with South Korea, which has something slightly different, who actually has a refereeing system which is,
which regulates
general.
kind of the leagues, the
Yes,
tournaments,
yes.
and you can say, okay, this is good. Yeah, a
And
good
which cares
rule
about
structure
it's
for the
good
tournaments.
practice.
Which
Exactly,
care
yeah.
also about integrity,
Yeah.
questions of corruption, that
Yeah,
kind of stuff, to really protect our players against all the things that might happen in esports.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is that, especially since our player base is kind of young,
Yeah.
well, they don't necessarily know about those things.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know myself.
Of course, how to settle conflicts, how to decide how to go with rules, and having a third party.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
being
know.
a third party.
I don't know the English word. Where you'll have to patent anmelden.
Maybe
you
I
know?
understand. I understand German quite well.
Patent anmelden.
Yeah, it's
The trademark.
license.
Yeah, license maybe. So
permit.
your referee commission is protected, you know.
Yes.
And when another country wants part of the referee commission, you can say, yeah, you can have it, but you need to do us a little favor or something. So,
Well, I can't
but
say
know
too
it's
much.
No, of course.
I
it's
can
not
say
worth
too
it.
much, but I can say that currently we might be helping some countries who were convinced by our
Nice.
project to develop the same thing
Nice.
there.
Sounds cool.
We'll have more news soon.
Cool. Thank you very much. So I'll throw just 3 or 4 expressions at you guys that I heard in connection with the SSF. And I want you guys, if you can, to tell me what is exactly going on with the SSF in correlation to that expression. And yeah, we'll just start. The first one is the ISF. So maybe to people who don't know what the ISF is, what is the difference between an SESF and an ISF? It's just a letter.
Well, that's one letter, but this one letter stands one for Swiss and one for international. So currently there's a problem. Worldwide, there's no one international federation recognized by states or big bodies. So that rules overall.
Yeah.
There's several of them, at least 3, and the 3 of them have different models.
Yeah.
ISF is the one we chose to because it's the one that looks like traditional sports federation the most.
Yeah.
The most, of course.
What are the 2 others?
So there's a Visa is one. Visa is the World Esports Association.
Okay.
But it's basically it's much more business oriented. So which with ESL and big teams in it, but it's a franchise-like system.
And then
It's
there's
not
Wesco.
independently, right? It's not independent
So
completely.
It's not completely independent, and they're cross-independent because ESL do the tournament and the teams participate in the tournaments. But it's another model. It's more
exactly.
it's more for professional.
It's also not really what you're looking for, right? I think,
Not exactly what we were looking for.
Not now, yeah.
You have Wesco, which is the World Esports Consortium. It's slightly younger, so how to define it exactly would be harder.
Is the ISF the most known of these 3? Because I've heard a lot of the ISF, but of course, if it's in correlation with the SSF, it's clear.
Through us.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the mostly known because you can enter it. If you're a national federation in a country, that
helps, of
That's
course.
probably the easiest one to go to and say, I'm a Danish national federation.
Yeah.
I want to represent Denmark. Can we go through our application and participate in the World Championship that they organize every year?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Indeed, I'm not sure the 2 other organizations have world championships.
No, they don't have World Championship as a one event.
Yeah.
They do a year. They do a yearly events with all the national federation coming with a team that represent the country.
Okay.
So we go there with Swiss teams.
Exactly,
So that they do represent the Swiss. They don't represent their own entity.
Organization or whatever,
So of course we promote their entity too, and their players from there. But they go with the Swiss logo. They represent Switzerland. So they're not a fanatic that represent mostly a group of players. So that's why the ISF is here for, is try to go with a standard traditional federation model, which is national federation. They select national teams and participate in international event. And all of that with some level of regulation and standards.
Cool. Thank you.
At least that's their vision. Part of it is implemented. The other part is, of course, we even criticize them, but they improve. So.
Okay.
Exactly. We don't agree with anything. We don't agree with everything they do, of course.
Coming to the next point, I think. Well, I wanted to talk about the European Federation, but I think that's quite similar to the international, or not really comparable. Well, you're shaking your head, and let's jump right into it because that interests me.
So the European Esports Federations, well, first of all, it doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
So the fact is, it's something which was started like the movement to actually
Beginning-
get federations around
Together,
a table
yeah.
together to discuss the subject started like
The last
one-
meeting was in Lausanne?
less than
or-
8
Indeed.
months ago.
Yeah.
1 year ago. Like
Yeah, even less than 1 year ago.
less than one
Less
year
than
ago,
1 year ago.
we had 3 meetings
Yeah,
for
one
the
in-
moment, one in Paris, one in Berlin, and one in Lausanne.
Yeah.
And right now, what we've decided with other European countries was to create an establishment committee who is in charge of just drafting documents for the creation of a European esports
Okay.
federation. So of course, the intention is to have a stronger European scene
Yep.
and easier links for federations with other stakeholders
Yep.
of the publishers from other countries and that kind of stuff.
It's just that the relationship between the European Esports Federation and IESF is a topic that will be discussed later. So
Okay.
the European Esports Federation is not a sub-part of
the
IESF.
IESF, yeah, that's
It's not the
important.
European branch of the
Yeah,
IESF.
Yeah.
It's
Two different entities, yeah.
yeah. It's for the moment it's two different entities, and we'll see later how
How
they
things move on,
interact.
yeah.
Exactly. For the moment, we do the very Swiss thing of participating in everything and just seeing how it evolves.
Nice. Well, we talked a little bit already about the referee commission. I think maybe we'll come back to that subject later because, yeah, that really interests me. It seems it's pretty player related, I'd say, and
Yes,
stuff. Obviously, player related interests me the most. But we first come to the Swiss nationals because there's also stuff going on. Some confusion sometimes. There are people saying, yeah, they are not. It's kind of mixed. What is your opinion on what is your take on the Swiss nationals? Excuse me.
So for the moment, for all the participation that was in the Swiss national,
Yeah.
the format has changed almost every year.
Yeah.
The last one we subcontracted the Swiss national to one of the members with a request for proposal, and we get answer. We chose one. Ton of things happened during the way. Part of it was implemented. Some of the tournament was there. The internet platform was created. The scoring was started to do. And then we looked at is there really we hired Patrick, so a guy
Tournament manager,
Yeah,
basically.
but
Excellent magician.
But he does thing for much bigger tournament than
Yeah.
there are
Yeah,
in Switzerland.
yeah.
Indeed.
And he looked at it and he started drafting another strategy
new system.
that we should probably do something else,
Yeah.
because especially the case of Ubisoft, who came with the Swiss
The
nationals,
Clash,
Rainbow
Clash
Six
of Nations stuff. Oh,
with a
last year, you mean?
Yeah. No,
No,
just a few,
recently,
just
this week.
Yeah,
they-
with
they
the
announced-
national in Germany, Austria, and
Yeah.
Switzerland, and then
Yes.
letting fight the
Yeah,
three winner
indeed.
teams in the Clash
Exactly.
of Nations, so to speak. Yeah.
But they would want to crown Swiss nationals, which is slightly an issue like this if we continue with the strategy we had.
That's what you were talking earlier when the publisher is pushing his will through, so to speak,
Exactly.
and trying to overgo
And
the
it's
federation.
in some way it's normal because it's the
It's his
publisher's
game.
it's the
It's
publisher's
his
game.
Yeah.
It's
It's his
his
software,
game.
it's his rules.
So
basically.
the thing we thought about, actually it's quite recent. I mean, we have a meeting yesterday to talk
Yeah.
about that. Is organizing a Swiss national competition, also physically organized
Yeah,
by us and
yeah.
stuff, is it still something relevant when we have this publisher
Yeah.
issue, but also the fact that it still costs a lot of money, and it could be maybe better to reposition and rethink the concept to find more innovative ways to benefit our players and all the other stakeholders, the tournament organizers and the publishers who organize these competitions
Yep.
in our country, to and allow people maybe to have advantages connected to these competitions maybe, or allow them to attend to these competitions
I mean,
with
you
more
would,
frequency.
you would provide a qualifier for this Rainbow Six event, then, for example, or
Not necessarily. Like especially what was discussed is that we don't think it's relevant anymore to specifically organize a tournament ourselves, because
Okay, so you're saying
publishers
it's-
and tournament organizers do that already a lot.
Exactly. There's not a need for the SSF to organize a Rainbow Six Swiss Nationals if Ubisoft is already doing one. It's
Exactly.
better to support them in their doing, maybe assisting them, helping them. Hey,
exactly.
this is how it works in
Exactly.
Switzerland.
So
Yeah.
we thought, what can we do
Yeah.
to benefit both the players who want to go there
Yeah.
and both Ubisoft.
Yeah, so
you know?
they don't say, yeah, we'll
So
never
they
come
get
back to
more
Switzerland
people
again.
to their
Event and
competition
see,
and
yeah.
develop their activities and invest in our national ecosystem.
Yeah.
So we don't have yet, really practical points to tell you how we're going to do that, but these are the further steps. So that's the broader goal, and the further steps I'm going to come now. And of course, the person we talked before about our head of tournaments at SESF will come to us with practical propositions on how we can do these things, and we're gonna, take a decision about it.
Good. I'm looking forward to that.
Because one of the main points, because we discussed previously, is that none of the previous Swiss national required any relationship with the SESF.
Yeah.
It was very open. That's the idea. Now
Yeah.
is to see how we can. The idea is not to close it to anyone except SESF members, but it's to start doing that because most of the big tournament organizers are SESF members.
Yep.
So they already comply to the standard the
Exactly.
SESF want. With the referee commission, they already supervised with some of the tournaments
yeah.
and things like
Seeing
this.
today, for example. Yeah.
Exactly, and
Exactly.
we have a good number of teams that are already SESF member that will apply the rule, that set to the standards, that respect their players and stuff like this. So the idea is to promote that and continue. And the Swiss national will be mostly accessible, and we'll look how to do that to a SESF member and SESF certified tournament.
Okay.
Like if you go to to the football league, they mostly only deal with their certified tournament that they even run themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the idea is to start doing the same in this federation, which will provide member or competition they want to participate in and benefits because they are SESF member,
Yep.
not just playing on some of the tournaments.
Yep.
They would have a benefit just directly being SESF members.
Well, and last but not least, well, yeah, not sure. Is there a lot more to say about the referee commission?
Well,
I'm sure you could speak
I
5
can
hours about the
explain
referee
how the
commission.
system works and why it is essential.
Could we try to make a concrete example with a player? For example,
Sure.
I'm a CSGO player. I'm okay.
Wanna
Strange
take an example
I'm
at
17
Polyland?
years old. I don't know even. Will you able to support me if I'm not? If I'm underage, is there still no problem? Is there like a limit for I don't know?
So, the thing is, what we do with the referee system that we have now
Yeah.
is that right now, when we organize a competition in Switzerland,
Yeah.
we have admins who are game specialists,
Yep.
tournament managers who handle all the logistics and also, since before last year, also all the refereeing part.
Yeah. If something is against the rules,
Exactly.
they handle it themselves. Yeah.
And what we thought was, but isn't it a part of refereeing in esport which is the same for all games? So what we did is we asked to all the specialists of refereeing and admins in our country to list us the problem they had in their games,
Yeah,
in the
what are
respective
common points?
tournaments.
Then you
Exactly.
Yep.
And it turned out to be that 99.9% of those are the same.
Yep.
They're not linked to
Can you
the
name
game.
2 or 3 typical?
Typical problems: cheating,
Yeah.
I don't know, people being late,
Yeah. Forfeiting.
forfeiting,
Whatever. Yeah.
whatever problem that might show up in a tournament.
Yep.
And for the players, it's also really important in a field where tournament organizers, they are the owner also of their competition, and whatever happens within this competition may have repercussion on their activities. So
Yeah, maybe also a player
sometimes
may feel like they're biased because it's their competition, it's their rules, they do what they want, I'm just a player. Yeah.
There's this huge bias, and no one ever, the publishers for years have been saying that there's no bias, and because it's not possible to referee
But
without.
we have seen a few examples where this is not true, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the point is, it's possible. And as a player, now, if you have a problem, for example, I don't know, you have a suspicion that this decision was not right, the decision which was taken, you have the opportunity to go to a third neutral party, which is composed of SESF trained referees. So we developed the whole training process around that.
And just rolling a dice and then.
Yes, indeed, it's more complex than that, which relies around the national rule set. And you have the opportunity to go there and have these person examine this decision and
Give their judgment.
maybe agree with
Okay.
what was said if it's right, maybe not agree,
Maybe
and
disagree.
therefore take a new decision if needed.
If they don't agree, and basically the tournament organizer has complied with the SSF and said,
Exactly.
yes, you have agreed to our rules, and then the SSF says this decision by yourself was not legit, we have to overturn it, he can't do anything about it. He has to accept it, basically, right?
So the thing is, it's not something which is enforced upon tournament organizer. It's a common agreement that we do when we certify their tournament. So we take the rules,
Yeah.
they do the rules,
Yeah.
we read them, we add hours,
Yeah.
and then there is this common agreement where indeed, if we pronounce a decision, it overrides theirs.
Okay.
But sometimes you may have special cases where it's not possible to override because the right thing would not fit, for example, in the timing
Yeah.
allowed for the tournament. So in absolutes, a tournament organizer could, in this specific case, say we can't do that. But most, like 99% of the time, yes, there is this possibility to overwrite organizers' decisions on refereeing.
Most of them are, unless very extreme exceptional case where you'd have to redo a best of 5, and in the time we cannot do this, and there will be a later rejudgment, and we see what can we do about this case. But unless exceptional
Exactly.
event,
And
you
the
get
whole thing
ruled.
relies on principles.
Yep.
It's really important, like,
Yeah.
you know, like our law in Switzerland,
Yeah,
which
of course,
relies on
of course,
principles.
of course.
We have those, and we teach them to our referees. Anyone can become a CSF referee. We're
Yep.
always searching for new volunteers.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a full training, and it's a great way also to get into the sport ecosystem.
Great. For my next questions, which will be my last as well, I'm sorry, but we're running out of
No
time.
problem.
You're always searching for members, you're always searching for volunteers. If someone is like, yeah, I'm interested in working in Swiss Esports is a dangerous expression, watch out. But yeah, in
Yes.
being active in Swiss Esports, helping
a volunteer.
exactly, helping Swiss Esports grow, where can he apply for membership? Where can he get in contact with you? I know you have a Discord server, which is pretty active, by the way. So if you write into the SESF Discord, you get answers usually pretty fast, no matter if you're French-speaking, German-speaking, Italian-speaking, whatever. Sometimes even Russian. So yeah, where can someone become an SESF member and participate in your doing?
So to get the information, the best platform is Discord. So that to get there, to ask the question and meet the committee member, knowing who they are, sending them private message. So I don't know who can answer my question, being directed to our players. Discord is the best.
First step.
Of course, if you want to go further, then on the website there's a form. They need to register as a member, so we get you into the process and the system. But first, the main thing would be to discuss with someone inside the SESF. Discord is the best platform. Of course, if you go to Twitter, of course you can send it. We'll answer.
We have answer on any social network we are on.
Of course.
But of course, best way is just to come on Discord general channel, ask your question.
How can I become a member?
Exactly,
For example.
and someone will answer, and then the process happen on our website.
Yep.
And anyone can become a member.
Yep.
So if you're a player,
Important, yeah.
if you're interested in getting involved into these activities, or even getting involved in our community where you can have contact with, you know, other tournament organizer teams, if you're searching for a team, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And for individuals, for players, it's right now it's free.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if you want to get involved
Also,
in
yeah, that's for free.
if you want to get involved in Swiss Esports, the SSF is a pretty good place to start, if you ask me. Thank you very much, Gabriel and Romain, for being here.
Thanks to you.
Thank you very much
Thank
again.
you.
Your English is super nice. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'll leave you guys just here. We'll be back in a moment with the Overwatch final, and I'm not exaggerating if I'm saying we're ending the day with a blast. Because, yeah, probably the two best Swiss Overwatch teams are going at each other's throat, and we're going to see Silent Gaming clash against March Marmots approximately around 5 o'clock. See you in a moment.